Now, there's another thing we can do with this that's really handy, is let's say we want to put this database into source control, and you're using Git, GitHub, Bitbucket, whatever your favorite source control tool is, and you want to be able to take this entire database and put it on disk. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change here and say our destination, rather than going to source control, or rather than going to a database, I'm going to say source control or file system. And this temp pubs to, I'm going to change that one because that was one I did before. Let's see, I'm going to browse here on this PC, go to the C drive, go to the temp folder. I'm going to make, and this could be your source control location. I'm going to make a new folder here called Northwind 2. I already did a Northwind 1 when I was practicing this demo. I'm going to hit OK. And then what it's going to do is it's going to compare the entire Northwind database to this file system. And there's nothing that's the same. There's nothing that matches that's different. That everything is only in source. There's nothing in destination. So what I can do is right click here and say save all to the destination directory. Save complete. I can jump out and go to ctemp north. Whoops, what did I do here? Northwind 2, and the entire schema has been saved off in these subdirectories. So if we want to go and look and say, okay, let's look at one of these stored procedures. In here, there's a stored procedure, employee sales by country. Let's just edit that for fun. Sure, we'll open it with SQL Server Management Studio and create procedure. And then let's just, after the as, I'm going to put in a comment that's, well documented. It's going to be created by someone in the past. Not the greatest comment. But then I'm going to save that file. And after saving it, let's just pretend that that was code that someone else committed and checked in source control. I then did a git pull and I got that from someone else's system. I go and back to compare that database now to that source control location, do a compare, and we go look at what's different, and there's a procedure that's showing up as different. And what's showing up as different, I guess it's quite a bit different based off of carriage returns or something. Let's go back here and look. Yeah, I don't know why it's showing so many differences there, but the key is, the main difference is I added this comment and it shifted everything down. It's a horrible procedure name with a quoted name with spaces in it, but hey, it's one of the sample demo databases probably testing some specific feature that you can't actually do that. But now we can see, based off of my change, here's what's showing up as different between these two stored procedures. So what's really cool with this is when I'm working on a database that I'm regularly making changes to for a client or for myself or whatever it may be, I always have this fear of, well, what if I accidentally overwrite a stored procedure or lose a piece of code? I'm going to have to go and pull that stored procedure from backup. Will I get the right one? Well, yeah, that can happen. But if you're regularly using schema drift to save it off to source control and then committing that, it's a great way to be able to go and see in your favorite source control program a history of how things are changing over time. So with this, schema drift is great for comparing database to database. It's great for comparing database to file system. But there's another handy thing that we came across. And I'm going to just start Excel here while I'm talking about it and open a blank workbook. We were working with a client and we were trying to help them through a migration, and we're trying to point out or call out all of the differences they had between a number of replicated databases. So what we're able to do is go and compare databases, and I'm going to change this back to, not to a file system, but change it back to an actual database. And instead of going against diff5, I'm just going to go and compare it against some other database. Why not my query training database? I don't even remember what's in that one. But the point is, these are two very different databases that should show a whole lot of diffs in it. What I can do is hit compare and go and see, okay, there's nothing identical. There's nothing matched up that's different, but there's all these things that are only in source and all these things that are only in destination. what I can do is right click and say, copy all diff only in source and only in destination, copy that. And now I jump over to Excel. I can then paste it into Excel, size the columns a little bit better. What do we do this? Format as a table. I don't know, we'll give it that style for fun. And we now have the ability to go through and say, okay, well, these are all the things that are different between these databases. And I actually built this as a way to help explain to the client, well, this is what's actually different between your databases. Now, it doesn't actually show the diffs here. It just shows that these are all the objects that are indeed different. And whether it's only in the source or only in the destination, or whether it's the same and different, using this to export to Excel and then being able to use it in a meeting with a client was a really great way to be able to show them that, yes, indeed, you have a great deal of differences in these databases that are assumed to be the same. So that's kind of the overall demo of Schema Drift. It's something that's free as Database Health Monitor.